Environmental health and choice. Environmental health and choice. In May of 2008, Planned Parenthood Marmonti launched a lecture series focused on how our health is affected by environmental toxins. Planned Parenthood of Northern New England launched a website to serve as a resource to those interested in environmental health. And during the 2009 Minnesota legislative session, Planned Parenthood Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota was part of a coalition that successfully banned the chemical Bisphenol-A from baby bottles and sippy cups, making Minnesota the first state with such a ban in place. But why is Planned Parenthood getting involved in environmental issues? Well, that's a great question, and precisely what this video is about. Let's get right down to it. What does your average person think of when they think of Planned Parenthood? And if you're a bit more hep to all of the other services Planned Parenthood provides, you might think of other things. So, put that together and what do you get? Reproductive health care. And reproductive health care is your reproductive right. Those of us who care about reproductive rights generally call ourselves pro-choice. Pro-choice, let's look at that word. If you came of age in the mid-'80s, you might think of choice as meaning rad, or totally rad. As in, it is so choice, if you have the means, I highly recommend picking one up. This, of course, is all true, but let's look at the Merriam-Webster's definition. Choice. 1. The act of choosing. 2. The power of choosing. Pro-choicers support policies in healthcare that give people the ability to choose when to have a child or not. They also support policies and practices like family planning and comprehensive sex ed that give people plenty of information and access to care so that they can keep themselves healthy and safe. So often, pro-choicers associate choice with choosing not to continue a pregnancy. But reproductive choice is just as much about one's choice to have a child as it is one's choice not to have a child. It's about the ability to plan pregnancy, to control one's reproduction, and to be healthy and safe in doing so. Sounds like a pretty good idea, right? Well, unfortunately, our ability to choose to have healthy pregnancies and healthy reproductive systems is in jeopardy. And this time, it's not the anti-choicers who are to blame. It's our environment. You're probably thinking, geez, how could Mother Earth do this to us? Well, before you get started blaming Mother Earth, let me tell you, she's innocent. So who is the guilty party? People. Well, not all people. There are definitely some who are guiltier than others. Chemical industry, I'm looking in your direction. Ah yes, modernity. Isn't it great? Where would we be without all the technological miracles and scientific breakthroughs we humans are responsible for? No doubt about it, our quality of living has gone up quite a bit since our days in the cave. Unfortunately, as time progresses, we're learning a lot about the nasty effects of the everyday products we've grown accustomed to. As fertility rates decline, reproductive disorders are on the rise. The link between these chemicals and our reproductive health is becoming stronger, and as protectors of reproductive health, it is crucial for Planned Parenthood to get involved in these issues. So, what are some examples of these reproductive toxins that are becoming ever more prevalent in our environment? Agricultural chemicals. Many chemicals are applied to food to reduce the damage that can be caused by pests, insects, and weeds. They're also very commonly used in homes, lawns, and gardens. Take, for example, atrazine. Atrazine is the #1 pesticide by volume in the U.S., and it is used on farm crops, golf courses, and home lawns. Atrazine is an endocrine disruptor. Endocrine disruptors are chemicals that essentially disrupt our hormone systems. This can have a wide array of effects on our development. Exposure to atrazine has been linked to cancer, birth defects, and reproductive effects like decreased sperm count and altered hormone levels. None of these effects bode well for successful, healthy pregnancies. It's not just atrazine, though. Scientists are finding plenty of similar effects from other pesticide exposures. It's bad news bears all over the place when it comes to reproductive health and the use of these farm and lawn chemicals. But what about other exposures? What other everyday products might be harmful? Well, how about children's toys, shampoos, personal fragrances, and IV bags? Those things, as well as a whole host of other products, contain a class of chemicals called phthalates. Generally, phthalates are associated with being a softening agent in plastics. Think about your child's rubber ducky, your shower curtain, or your vinyl flooring. But it's in other things too, like shampoos, fragrances, and lotions. You know, the nice-smelling stuff you smear all over your body. Gross. Phthalates are pretty much everywhere you look, and they've been linked to many reproductive health problems. It's considered a probable carcinogen, a suspected endocrine disruptor, and a reproductive toxin. In animals and humans, it's been linked to reduced sperm count. It's also been associated with early onset puberty in girls. A study in 2000 found that women of childbearing age had disproportionate levels of a specific kind of phthalate in their urine. This is especially troubling because in utero exposure of any chemical can be particularly harmful to human development. Here's a fun fact. Don't you just love that new car smell? Well, that smell is the smell of phthalates seeping out of your car's dashboard. Sick. Let's move on to another example. Bisphenol-A, aka BPA. BPA is found in polycarbonate plastics. It's a hardening agent, and it's found in hard plastic baby bottles, can linings, and a wide array of other products. BPA is also an endocrine disruptor. Even at a very low dose exposure, it's been linked to low sperm counts, prostate and breast cancer, miscarriages, and a variety of other reproductive health problems. It is beyond disturbing that this kind of toxin is present in the very bottles that we use to feed our children. The good news is that finally the public is forcing politicians to take a closer look at BPA and chemicals like it. In fact, Minnesota recently became the first state to ban BPA in baby bottles and sippy cups, and many other states are considering similar legislation. Connecticut banned BPA in all food storage containers. Planned Parenthood was part of the Healthy Legacy Coalition that passed the ban in Minnesota, and without pro-choice supporters who understand the link between toxins and our reproductive health, it couldn't have been done. You'd think that getting rid of these nasty chemicals would be a no-brainer, but there's a powerful group who have a lot of money on the line. The chemical industry. The chemical industry is employing all kinds of techniques to combat the truth from getting out there about these chemicals. From huge marketing campaigns to misleading scientific studies to create an illusion of debate, these tactics are not unlike those we've seen against cigarettes and climate change. As we begin to learn more about the everyday chemicals we encounter, it's important that we begin adopting the precautionary principle. The precautionary principle is the common sense notion that when scientific research overwhelmingly indicates that there might be damage to public health, we must take action to avoid any possible future damage. For instance, 92% of independent government-funded studies on BPA show its link to adverse health effects, while none of the industry-funded studies find that same link. So, are you going to let your child drink from a BPA baby bottle because 8% of independent studies say BPA is okay? The precautionary principle says better safe than sorry. And that's a philosophy that pro-choicers are all over. It seems like common sense, but unfortunately it's not the way things are done in the chemical industry. Instead, the burden of proof rests on the consumers, public interest groups, and governmental agencies to prove that chemicals are unsafe, rather than the chemical companies proving their safety. With the number of chemicals currently in existence and the vast new chemicals that are used every year, the precautionary principle must be used to protect public health. The health of future generations is worth the added precaution. If you're feeling overwhelmed, that's understandable. But the good news is that there are plenty of easy ways we can avoid using these chemicals in our daily lives. Visit www.greenischoice.org for links to resources, options for avoiding these chemicals, and for ways to take action to stop the use of unsafe chemicals. As more and more scientific research continues to indicate that these everyday environmental toxins are affecting reproductive health, you can be absolutely sure that Planned Parenthood will be there fighting for your health and safety. But we can't do it without you. As always, we will continue to rely on pro-choicers who understand what is truly at stake.